Here's an example of the meaning of a confidence interval. So let mu1, make this a little bigger for you. Let mu1 be the average number of hours per day spent watching TV for women, Group A, and mu2 be the average number of hours spent per day watching TV for men, Group B. A 95% confidence interval for mu1 minus mu2 is given as -7 to 8. What does the confidence interval suggest about the population means? Okay, so let me help with this. Let me give you both an idea and then appeal to you logically and then show you where it's at in the notes. So what we're doing right here, remember this is mu1 minus mu2, right? So think about what that means for a minute. Here, we can do it right down here, I guess. So when you subtract two things, mu1 minus mu2, if that answer comes out negative, if you get a negative, what does it mean when you subtract two things and get a negative answer? Like 7 minus 10, the first number is smaller, right? That's what it means. Whereas if you subtract two things and get a positive answer, what does that mean? That'd be like 10 minus 7, right? Positive answer. The first number is bigger. So we're good with that first off. If you subtract two things and get a positive answer, that means the first number must have been bigger. So in this case, that would mean, so this means mu1 is bigger. The first number is bigger. Whereas up here in this case, this would mean mu1 is smaller. The first number is smaller when you subtract two things and get a negative answer, right? Does that make sense? Okay. So okay, great. So what does that mean about our thing here? Well, now the next fact I got to make sure you're good with is what a confidence interval is. If we have a confidence interval for mu1 minus mu2, and it comes out to be like -10 to -6 or whatever. What does that mean? We're saying that if you were to do a number line, and you know here's like 0, here'd be like -6, and here's -10. We're saying that the number is somewhere here, right? We are confident that the difference, mu1 minus mu2, the answer, yeah, let me put it to you that way. The answer is somewhere between -10 and -6, which means the answer is negative. If it's between -10 and -6, and what does answer negative mean? Right up here, negative answer, mu1 is smaller. So that would mean mu1 is smaller, right? Right? If you subtract two things and the answer comes out negative, that means the first number was smaller. That's how you get a negative answer. How do we know it's negative? Well, because the confidence interval says the answer is between -10 and -6. So that's case 1. You tracking with me? That's case 1. So this is case number 1, let's say. Now come on down here, case number 2. What if you do your confidence interval for the difference, mu1 minus mu2, and it comes out to be like +7 to +10. Couple of positive numbers. What does that mean? That means if you look on a number line, 0's here, that means you're saying that the answer must be positive because it's somewhere between 7 and 10, right? You're saying you're confident, you're 95% confident or whatever level you're at, that the answer to the difference is between 7 and 10, +7 and +10. Well, if you're between +7 and +10, you are positive. So if the answer is positive, what does that mean when you get a positive answer? If you get a positive answer, that means the first number must have been bigger. How do you subtract two things? it's the only way you're going to subtract two things to get a positive answer is if the first number is bigger. mu1 must be bigger. That's case 2. If the confidence interval has all positive numbers, then that means the first number must have been bigger. If the confidence interval has all negative, then the first number must have been smaller, right? And then the third case, the last case, let me add a page here. The last case is if the confidence interval for mu1 minus mu2 comes out to have both negative numbers like -4 and +3. Then on a number line, what is that meaning? On a number line, like here's -4, here's +3, here's 0 right here. So you're saying that, what the confidence interval is saying is that the number somewhere between -4 and the answer to this difference is somewhere. It could be here or here. It could be negative or it could be positive, right? It's somewhere between -4 and +3. We don't really know. Answer could be positive or negative, or it could even be 0, right? 0 is in that interval. What does that mean if it's 0? If mu1 minus mu2 equals 0, if the answer is 0, what does that mean if you subtract two things and the answers? If I say, hey, I'm taking the two numbers, number minus number, and the difference came out to be 0. Well, those numbers have to be the same, don't they? That would mean, that means mu1 equals mu2, doesn't it? If you subtract two things and you get a 0 difference, then they're not different. They are the same number. They're equal, aren't they? So my point in all this is case 3 is very much unclear. Do you see that? If the answer, the confidence interval, has both negative and positive numbers in it, then the answer to the subtraction, the difference between the two quantities, could be negative, it could be positive, right? It's somewhere between -4 and +3. It could be in the negative territory, the positive territory, or it could even be 0. So we don't know. If it's 0, they're actually equal. If it's negative, positive, we just don't know. It could be all kinds of things. So that would be the case where it's unclear. We just don't know what that means. That means totally unclear, right? So that means, in other words, that means, this third case means mu1 and mu2 are not significantly different. In fact, they even might be equal, the same, right? Their difference could be 0. So that'd be the conclusion in that case. So we have three different situations. If you have a confidence interval where there comes out a couple of negative numbers, that means the subtraction answer is negative. And how do you subtract two things that get negative? The first number is smaller. If the confidence interval comes out with two positive numbers, then between two positive numbers, you're positive. If the answer to subtracting two things comes out positive, the first number must have been bigger. And third case, if the confidence interval, the difference between two things, comes out having a negative and a positive, then the answer could be positive or negative or even 0. So that means that the two numbers are not significant. The first number is not necessarily bigger. It's not necessarily smaller. It's just not significantly different. Does that make sense? Right? The first number could be bigger a little bit if the difference is negative. It could be smaller. We just don't know. We're saying the answer could be anywhere from -4 to +3. It could be a negative answer or a positive or even a 0. The fact is they're just not very different. They're right around 0. So we just don't know. There's no significant result. We can't say for sure the first number's bigger or for sure the first number's smaller. There's just not any significant difference. Those numbers might basically be the same, or close to the same. They're not significantly different. So what's our case here? The confidence interval has negatives and positives. That means not significantly different. Let me show you all this in the exam notes, which are not here. Let me grab them for you. Put them right here. They're right here, down at the bottom. Meaning of confidence intervals for mu1 minus mu2. Whoops. The what I just said, all negative, 0 not included, implies confidence. So mu1's lower. The first number is lower than the second. If it's all positive, 0's not included, implies that the first number is bigger. Right? First is bigger. If there's some negative, some positive, 0 is included, implies they might be 0. Thus, they might be equal. So we have no confidence that they're different. They might be the same. There it is. All that I just said. All right, so back to our question. We, in this case, have a negative and a positive. So they're not significantly different. So which one of these? Now, there's a bunch of options here. My goodness. Well, I'm giving you a bunch of options because I want to make sure you really understand this. And you're not just guessing your way through, so you do well on the test. The confidence interval includes only negative. Is that us? No. Only positive? No. Let me cross these out. Only negative, only positive, only negative, only positive. No. Oh, it includes 0. Yeah, it does. Only negative, includes 0, includes 0. Only positive, includes. Okay, there's 4, includes 0. It's one of those 4. We got it narrowed down a little bit. All right. Which suggests that the two population means are unlikely to be equal? No. They could be 0, right? They could be 0, like I said down here. Right? If the difference is 0, they might be the same. Right? They might be the same. So the two population means are unlikely to be equal? No, they could be equal. That's bad wordage right there. That's not true. You understand that? The confidence interval which suggests that the two population means might be equal. Right? They might be. There appears to be a significant difference? No. No. There does not appear. There appears to be significant. No, there does not. No, there does not. Right? That's what this says down here. There's not a significant difference. Right? They might be equal. There's not a big difference. Not a significant difference. All right, come on down here. The confidence interval includes 0, which says the two populations are unlikely to be equal. No, they could be equal. We've only got one option left. It better be this guy. Confidence interval includes 0, which suggests that the two means might be equal. Yeah, they might be equal. There does not appear to be a significant difference. Yes, between groups A and B. There it is. Do you understand how that's right and all the rest of them have wrong and crazy words?